Hello, Gemini, and welcome to my channel, Tarot by Gabrielle. This is going to be a general reading for Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus signs, looking at your connection to the person that you are needing to learn the most from right now. We're looking at all three sides of the connection. We've got your energy toward it, their energy toward it, and the energy in between it. The concept being that there are three sides to every story. So your version of the truth, their version of the truth, and kind of this higher level, unbiased truth in the middle. I've already pulled the overall energy for the reading, as always, but we will be diving into a different tarot deck for each side of this connection. And then the one thing I do like to mention is that I encourage you to think outside of the box with these readings. This might not just be talking about a romantic connection. This could be a friend, a family member, a coworker, anyone that you are feeling triggered by and you feel like there is a lesson that is needed to be learned at this time. These energies can absolutely be swapped. So if you end up resonating more with the energy to my right than to my left, that is totally fine and totally normal. And if you're a cross watcher, then vice versa. So do take the reading as it resonates and leave what does not. And any information on the extended reading or on booking a personal reading with me is in the description box below. All right, Gemini. The way that these messages came through is really interesting. So it might take me a second to kind of figure out exactly how they are needing to be relayed. But on your side of this connection, you have jealousy with past life. Now, this very much looks like a past life connection that you're dealing with, obviously, right? Because that card came out, meaning when you met this person or when you started getting to know this person, things probably just kind of flowed super easily. It felt like you had known them forever. It felt very familiar. You felt very comfortable. Now with this jealousy card, it's kind of interesting because I didn't see this until now. But do you see on this here, you have the this little circle here, and then this, it looks to me like this eye is this circle, and it's kind of looking down here at this pyramid. And to me, it looks like this is basically kind of saying that, now, jealousy to me, that can always feel like a very immature energy. And I don't necessarily feel that in this reading because I don't necessarily know if it's you that's dealing with this jealous energy, because the way that this is coming through, and I told you it was weird how these messages were coming through, is that it's almost like as you build and as you grow, this person is actually dealing with like the jealousy. It's almost like as your life grows, whoever it is that you're dealing with is kind of looking at you with this jealous eye in a way. But we'll see when we dive more into tarot. But that was interesting the way that came out. Now, this side of the connection, they have meditate and trust. So this person definitely has trust issues. And I feel like that probably came out very much in this connection. I don't know if this connection is currently together or not. And if there feels like there's some sort of separation, because again, it feels like this person is like watching you. It feels like they're watching you from afar here with this on your side of the connection. But then they have this meditate and trust. And this meditate card, it feels like this person needs to get grounded, because I feel like they're kind of they're not very grounded. And I feel like that's why they're dealing with this jealous energy. But they definitely deal with trust issues. And it's not necessarily like with you, it could be. But I feel like maybe from past connections, or maybe they don't trust themselves, something along those lines. Now, in between this connection, you have fire and home. And again, here's that pyramid. It's like, I don't know why, but this triangle shape is really coming out a lot in this reading. Maybe this was like a third party situation. Not necessarily saying that's the case. But I just feel like this person at one point very much used to feel like home to you. And I feel like they made you feel very comfortable. Like I said, like that past life energy. They made you feel very comfortable, made you feel very at home. But there's so much intensity in this connection with the fire card that home feeling is almost covered up by the intensity. Or the intensity led to something that makes it feel less like home. But again, interesting how those energies were coming out. So let's dive in, Gemini, to your side of this connection. You have jealousy with past life. Let's see what energies come through for you. This is for Gemini's side of this connection to the person they are dealing with. Gemini side of this connection. Let's get one more. Gemini side of this connection, please. This is Gemini side of the connection to the person they're dealing with. Interesting. See, I do feel, Gemini, like you're very focused on your material stability here. But then you have this Hangman in reverse, so it's almost like, it's like you're holding on to how you want things to go in this connection. I feel like they haven't gone, I don't feel like they played out the way that you wanted them to, because this devil energy got in the way. I don't know what this devil energy is yet, but that devil energy got in the way. And it's almost like, maybe it's like the best revenge is living well kind of thing. That could be something that's coming through here. But I just feel like it's almost like you're in a building phase. And I don't necessarily think or feel like it's with this person. Because that pyramid, it's like you're in the building phase of that pyramid. Like you're on the up and up is what it feels like here. And I feel like this person doesn't necessarily like that. This is Gemini side of the connection to the person they're dealing with. But I don't know why. It's interesting. I actually can't, the nature of this connection, it's having a hard time. It's not very clear to me what the nature of this is. Like, usually it can be like, okay, yeah, this is very more romantic or very more like a parental situation or something like that. But I'm not sure. Maybe that's because it can be many different things for many different people. But let's see, Gemini side of this connection to the person they are dealing with. So you're definitely in a building phase here. Oh, that is too many. I can't read all of that at once. I can't read all of those messages at once. There's like 10 cards. If any of those are supposed to come out, they will again, and I bet they will. Okay, Gemini side of the connection. There's that Ace of Wands. See, this connection I feel like is very confusing to you. And I feel like that's because there's a lot of like this like passionate kind of intense energy, that fiery energy here. And that's what creates this confusion, because I feel like it's like, and you could be dealing with an earth sign, the King of Pentacles here. So Virgo, Taurus, Capricorn, but you definitely don't have to be, because you obviously have fire energy. But this fire energy, it feels like that's more what exists in between the connection. And it's almost like this intensity, this passion and intensity that exists in this connection, it keeps you very stuck in it. Because I feel like there's this pull to it. Even though I don't necessarily know if that's a good thing. But let's get more for Gemini side of this connection. This is Gemini side of the connection to the person they're dealing with. Okay, yeah. So you're definitely not in a place of feeling very happy with this. You have the Sun in reverse or the Knight of Cups in reverse. So you're definitely dealing with like feeling triggered around the connection. But it's interesting because definitely so are they. Or maybe this is like you've received triggering communication. It could be something too. That doesn't necessarily need to be the case. I just feel like this person is watching you. Someone's watching someone from afar. It could be you're watching them too. And maybe you saw something that was triggering. You certainly wish things were different. I don't know in what way. Like, I don't know if you wish that you could just like move on, or if you wish that the connection would come back together. It could be, depending on who you are and how this reading is needing to resonate for you. It could be either. Gemini side of this connection. Gemini side of this connection. See, okay, so this jealousy card is a 23, and this past life card is a 14. And 2 plus 3 is 5, 1 plus 4 is 5. So you're definitely going through changes in your life right now. And whatever those changes are, it's like people are watching you. Like specifically this person, it feels like people are watching you. This person is watching you. Gemini side of this connection. Or you, them, or both. We'll see when we pull their energy. Gemini side of this connection to the person they are dealing with. This is kind of alluding to the past of this connection. The Six of Cups in reverse with the Ten of Cups in reverse, and then the Six of Pentacles in reverse. It kind of feels like you had certain expectations of how this connection was going to go. Things didn't play out like that. And at the end of the day, it almost feels like you weren't able to, like you never received what you deserve out of this connection. Like you were never, maybe you were giving energy to it, but you were never receiving energy from it. And that could be what you're currently dealing with too. Now, it's interesting because it almost feels like, I feel like you stuck around in this because you were holding on to the potential of what this connection could have been. But it just feels like it never became the potential. Now, when you were hoping for someone's potential, the hard truth there, and it's one that we all have to learn eventually, is that someone's potential is someone who doesn't exist. And it kind of feels like that's what you were dealing with this person. Like maybe they needed to heal or to grow a little bit, or mature, like emotionally, or just kind of in general, and maybe you were waiting for that to happen and it just never did. This is Gemini side of this connection. Gemini side of this connection, please. Okay, so now we're getting into some inner child energy. Because the purpose of this connection was to help you heal some deep-seated wounds here. I want more on this Page of Wands. What is this inner child energy? Clarifying this Page of Wands in reverse. So the Page of Wands in reverse and the Star in reverse. Clarifying this Page of Wands in reverse. When it comes to partnerships, relationships of any sort, partnerships, because that's what a healthy reciprocal relationship is, a partnership, right? Of any kind. And when it comes to those, Gemini, you have this belief that it has to include this Five of Cups. Like it almost feels like you are so used to putting up with disappointment in your relationships that your standards are low. It's for what you deserve. It's almost like because of what you've experienced in your past, and maybe even from parental relationships, it almost feels like you feel like they have to be challenging and painful. Now, of course, all connections, especially if you're talking romantic, they're going to have challenging times, but the majority of the connection doesn't have to be painful. In fact, it's quite the opposite. If you're spending, 80+% of your time wishing that things were better, then that connection isn't serving you. And I feel like to a certain extent, that's what you were doing with this person. You were wishing things were better. Now, I feel like you're in a position of taking your power back. And I feel like that's why you're focusing on kind of like rebuilding almost. That's what this feels like. You're focusing on rebuilding. And that's good. Because it's true. The best revenge is living well. I almost feel like that's what you're, I don't know, like doing in a way. It's interesting. Gemini side of this connection. Gemini side of this connection to the person that you're dealing with. King of Swords in reverse. feel like this person had a tendency to talk you in to not choosing yourself. Like it's almost like their words. So King of Swords in reverse, Eight of Cups in reverse, and the Eight of Swords. It's like their words played on your limiting beliefs about love. And maybe there's this idea that you've gained since you were a kid where, like, I don't know, like maybe people would tell you they were going to change, but they never did. It just feels like you trusted their words over their actions, and that left you very hurt. It left you very sad, very disappointed. But this is something that you've experienced in childhood too. Like disappointment in relationships is a theme in your life. People kind of letting you down. And this connection is really triggering that. It's interesting because you have this home card, and it almost feels like it's like alluding to your home life since you were little. Like, I don't know. It definitely goes deeper than just this connection, because this connection is, I feel like it's more recent than when you were a child, but maybe it could be a parental situation. It could also be a parental situation being reflected in the form of a romantic relationship too. Let's get more for this person's side of the connection to Gemini. They have meditate and trust. This person's side of the connection to Gemini. So this person, they feel pretty ungrounded, and it almost just feels like I don't know, something about their trust issues. This person's energy toward Gemini. Ooh, okay. They're feeling hurt about this with the Three of Swords. But I don't feel like they're handling it in a very mature way. Let me get more on this Three of Swords, because it's interesting, because this Three of Swords almost feels like their own fault, but yet not directly. And I'll try to elaborate more on that. Yeah, okay, so then they have Nine of Swords. It's like when they get into a connection, they worry about it ending, or they worry about doing something to mess it up or something like that. It's like that's their fear going into it, and that usually is what manifests. They usually manifest the destruction of their connections through what they fear going into it, which is really interesting. I mean, that's typically the way it goes, right? If you're constantly focused and worried on your partner cheating, and I'm not saying you did that by any means, I'm just giving an example. If you're constantly worried about your partner cheating, and you give energy to that, and you give that energy to your partner, and you put that on them, eventually your partner's going to cheat. Like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like what you focus on expands, right? Like what you worry about in connections eventually happens. So instead of worrying about it, there's a need to get to the root of it, right? And I feel like this person, it's like they manifested their own heartbreak. This person's energy to Gemini. This person's energy to Gemini. Page of Swords in reverse. Now that is not taking the burden off of someone who, like, that is not saying that the person who cheats is like, it's like your fault because they cheated. If you've ever dealt with that. That's not what I'm saying at all. I was just trying to explain how fears can affect our relationship. Yeah, they're spying on you too. You guys are watching each other from afar. And this person, I mean, this is the second time I've seen this Page of Cups in reverse. It's like they're very immature emotionally, especially when it comes to love with the Two of Cups, because they have Page of Cups in reverse and the Two of Cups. And I feel like that's what ends up breaking their own heart, is like maybe their emotional immaturity. I just feel like this person manifested this in some way. Remember, manifestation is always happening. It's not something that we always consciously have a role in. All right, this person's energy, okay. Judgment in reverse with High Priestess in reverse. But it's interesting because then you have the Four of Cups on the bottom. I don't think this person takes accountability all that well. I don't feel like they're able to really own up to the role that they played. It kind of feels in some way that they're putting the blame on you, which I feel like to you is like ridiculous. Because this person really let you down. They let you down here. But like, and for whatever reason, they're kind of playing the victim. It's interesting. I mean, and who's to say? I believe in every situation. Every situation. I'm the reason I do these readings is I genuinely believe there are three sides to every story. So I'm not putting the blame on one person or another here. This person's energy to Gemini. This person's energy to Gemini, please. They have the Star in reverse too. And there's that Queen of Pentacles. Because this is what... Oh, okay. So this isn't necessarily talking so much about their energy. This is alluding to like... Okay, because there's a Justice in reverse. So there is a sense of there not being like justice in this connection. Like, I don't necessarily know how it's unbalanced, but one person hasn't received their justice. My guess is... I don't know. I actually don't know. Because this person is really truly like putting the blame on you, even though this feels like it's their own fault. I know I said that already, but then you have this Queen of Pentacles in reverse and the Star. We talked about how this person is kind of like helping you heal these past relationships where people have let you down, right? It's almost like you're used to, Gemini, getting this, because this feels like your energy, this Queen of Pentacles in reverse. I don't know why. I know you're not an earth sign, but this feels like your energy. It's like you're, like whether you're male or female, you're used to getting like the rug ripped out from underneath you, or you're used to feeling this disappointment. Like, it's like this disappointment is so natural to you, and it almost feels like this person was that lesson for you, and it's being confirmed in their energy. But it's so interesting because I really feel like they are just straight up like not taking accountability for the way that they've messed up in this. Like, it's 100% on you in their mind. Well, maybe. I mean, yeah, that's what it feels like. That's what it feels like. This person's energy to Gemini. This person's energy to Gemini. It's interesting because I feel like they didn't want this to end, but yet their actions said otherwise. Because the lovers here in the Sun, like, they viewed this connection in pretty high regard. Like, they did. They felt very, like I said, like, it just feels like you both kind of felt at home with each other at one point or another, but then something took over. Something took over. Some fiery energy took over of some sort. Because, yeah, they didn't want this to end. This person needs to come back down to earth a little bit. I feel like they're really, that's why they have this meditate card, is it just feels like they need to ground themselves, because I feel like they're a little bit caught up in that blame game instead of like trying to actually grow from this. This person's energy to Gemini. But where are these trust issues coming from? You know, it's like that person that, you know, sabotages a connection and then is like, see, no one can love me for who I really am. And it's like, you're saying who you really are is like a cheater and a liar, you know? Like, and I'm not saying that's what this person is by any means. I don't know. But like, that's that kind of energy it feels like, is it's like, when they mess up, they then go, well, no one will ever love me for who I am. And it's like, well, those things don't have to be who you are, right? You are who you choose to become. You're not what you've done or what happened to you. But it just feels like they're like, I don't know. It feels a little bit like a victim mentality. I'm not going to lie. This person's energy to Gemini. This is how they view you. They view you as the Empress here. But I don't necessarily feel like this person would ever change, because if they're not taking accountability for the way that they've messed up here, then like that's not really on you, you know? Now, a good way to look at it is like, are you taking accountability for like your side of things? You know, because obviously we talked about you have certain expectations that stem from childhood. Like, for instance, when I was dealing with fairly emotionally abusive relationship, yes, it was easy to be angry at him for the way that he treated me, but then I had to learn to take accountability for the fact that, well, okay, I stayed in that connection, and I fought for a connection where I was getting treated poorly, because that was the way I thought relationships were supposed to go. And so when you can, taking accountability for your role, it doesn't relieve the other person of their, like, relieve, I don't think is at all the word that I was going for there. It doesn't take away that like what the person did to you, is what I was getting at. Alleviate? I think that's what it was. I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't take away what they did to you, but it does put the power back in your hands, because you can say, okay, sure, I was mistreated, but what were the red flags I ignored? Where were the signs? Why did I stay? If this was such a a terrible relationship, why did I stay for so long? Kind of thing. I'm just an example of how to kind of take your power back from connections. All right, Gemini, we are going to hop on over to the extended. I'm going to clarify the truth of this connection. You have fire and home. I'm going to pull 9 different messages, and then I have an advice card to pull at the end. Thank you so much, Gemini, as always, for your support of my channel. It means the absolute world to me. I do hope that this reading resonated with you in a way that you were needing today. And as always, I wish you nothing but love and healing on your journey moving forward. All right, bye, Gemini.